Minister, I appreciate your candour on that, because to date you have to understand we've had about 5 committee meetings on this, and for hour after hour after hour we were told this whole thing can be explained away by inflation. So thank you for your candour. This has very little to do with inflation. And indeed, we know from the Mazar reports they have confirmed that the gross area, the square metre, hasn't gone up either. We know that there were no additional bedrooms added. We know there were no additional operating theatres and so forth. So we know it's not due to a bigger hospital. And the Mazar report has a very clear line saying that the vision and functionality for the hospital did not change through this entire process. So I think we can both agree with that. Then, Minister, I would like to come to the design team, because the Mazar's report has a lot to say about this team. In its analysis, it attributes an increase of 94 million on second stage measurement, essentially to the design team getting the quantities wrong. It attributes another 92 million on something called programme and preliminaries associated with the design team getting their initial quantities wrong. And indeed it says the value engineering target was missed by 50 million euro, and attributes that again to the design team missing this. So by my count, and we've only had the report for 2 hours, but by my count, Mazars attributes about 230, 240 million in additional overrun to the design team, and indeed to calculations that were got wrong by the design team. On page 21 of the report, it says, quote, the design team did not highlight or signal the looming capital budget overrun. Now, what we also know is that the design team fees for the project were agreed in 2017 at 44 million. They asked for more money, and indeed a year later their 44 million was increased to 71 million, an increase of over 60% in fees for the design team. Can I ask, Minister, who are the design team?
Minister.
I don't want to say anything on the record of this House that in any way impedes the accountability piece that has to be discharged by PwC. I'm certainly happy to share with the House all the information that I have, and have indeed been sharing documentation in that regard. The Mazars report did make it clear, as Deputy Donnelly correctly outlines, that there were a number of issues, and indeed it's listed on page 22 and indeed 23 in relation to the report, of things that quite frankly did not go right in relation to design. What the PwC report will do is look at that in more detail in deciding where to ascertain where changes could actually be made. Now, it is important to say, and I don't want to use up your time, Deputy Donnelly, it did find that the GMP process was still the correct way to go, and it did also find that actually the GMP process locked in prices at 2016 prices. Where things clearly went wrong was the quantities of materials that needed to be used, which was clearly completely misestimated. But I need to wait for the PwC report to actually establish where to go in that regard.